Ah, the Academy Awards ceremony. A magical night. It makes you forget there's hunger in the world while simultaneously making you forget there are fat people in the world. It's an award ceremony responsible for telling us peasants that King's Speech, Argo, The Artist, 12 Years a Slave, Birdman, and Spotlight are the best movies in the world this decade. But what can we do? We love competition, and the Academy Awards is the World Cup final, or Super Bowl if you're in America, of the movie industry. Why? By default, of course. And so the world stops to see which movies are chosen by a restricted number of more or less arbitrarily appointed people nobody even knows. So we pretend they're like 18 feet tall giants of knowledge sitting in a temple atop Olympus, determining the best films in order to appease the gods, while we peasants wander aimlessly beneath, praising the gods every time a single breadcrumb falls from above. But it's bullcrap and we all know it. Try naming your favorite 20 films of all time, or asking everyone you know their 20 favorite films of all time, and be amazed at how no one even agrees with the Academy wizards. As time passes, the studios have figured out formulaic ways to satisfy the Academy voters, resulting in more and more films with certain characteristics that seem to bag nominations and awards, creating a never-ending, looping, self-pleasing private club. We shall call this Oscarbation. This year, as in previous years, 9 films were nominated. Let's look at them one at a time in a countdown format. Disclaimer, this isn't who we think will win, this is who we think should win. If you want to know who is more likely to win, you probably should check gambling websites. Hidden Figures is a family film that tells the story of how NASA put their chauvinistic and racial prejudices aside in order to defeat the commies. There are some good things about this, like the awareness of a true underdog story that promotes gender and racial equality, the way it seamlessly merges the characters' personal lives with the story itself, humanizing them, and enabling us to get some fresh air from the NASA offices every once in a while, and of course, the great performances of the main cast, who have great interactions together and give life to the characters. That said, Hidden Figures is a bland story, one you've probably seen a gazillion times before, that is toned down in terms of conflict on purpose, meticulously designed for Sunday family viewing without waking up Grandpa. For example, there's a scene where Catherine has to grab her documents, get out of the building, and run a few miles because that's where the only female-colored bathroom is. Okay, it shows us, in a tongue-in-cheek way, that she suffers from segregation, but on the other hand, the guards see a black person running out of a NASA building with classified documents in the middle of the goddamn Cold War and do nothing? There's some degree of tolerance revealed here, unintentionally. Because that's where racism exists in this movie, in bland cardboard cutouts of unidentifiable characters just there to make life a bit harder for the main cast. And there's a dreadful side effect to all this. It sometimes unwillingly passes the message that they're smart even though they're female and black, instead of the intended one that being smart has absolutely nothing to do with gender or race. Also, the dialogue is frequently cheesy, such as the line after the abolishment of the aforementioned bathroom. Kevin Costner says, "We all pee the same color," which would get you a C- at most in film school. Not to mention the fact that I'm pretty sure it's scientifically incorrect. Not even I always pee the same color. By the way, this patriotic injection of American flag waving showing the progressive white Americans beating the evil communist Russians kinda stinks, especially when we know the first woman in space was Russian, 20 years before the first American one, and they had sent Abdullah Had Momand, Arnaldo Tamayo Mendes, Yudger Demedin Guragacha, and Pham Tuan into space before America sent their first non-white astronaut. A lion is a 2-meter, 500-kilogram feline who can reach 90 kilometers an hour, hunts large mammals, is widely known as the king of the jungle, even though they technically live in the savannah, and they mate like 20 times a day. They are faster, stronger, and probably better looking than you, one of nature's most fascinating predators. Alternatively, it can be a delicious candy made of crisp cereal, a delightful combination of crunchy wafer and soft caramel and sweet chocolate on top. So what about the movie lion? A pre-packaged, sugar-free, tasteless Oscarbatory tale about a boy who accidentally boards India's emptiest train and gets lost for decades, being adopted, and growing up wanting to get to know his biological parents and brother. You know what I'd like to see? A movie about a boy who lives with his biological parents in search of his adoptive parent. Oh yeah, right. In the movie's defense, I expected a lot worse from the trailers, as they focused mostly on Dev Patel's part, so I was relieved to find myself following a little Indian boy lost in India throughout half the movie, which is admittedly a nice adventure to follow, and the kid is awesome. I don't understand how Dev Patel gets to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor, since he plays, the main character. Denzel Washington and Viola Davis star in this well-acted adaptation of a play of the same name, one in which, coincidentally, they both acted while on Broadway. And it comprises good performances by both, giving us a roller coaster of emotions about life as a minority back in the day, by showing instead of telling, which is ironic since they don't seem to shut up throughout the film. And, they probably practiced a lot prior to making the film. Problem is, there's not much more to it. Step 1, establish a dramatic situation. Step 2, argue about it for half an hour. Step 3, repeat. The nomination to Best Adapted Screenplay is a bit suspicious, since even a bat with headphones could make out that this movie is adapted from a play. You can almost see the wood supports on the scenery. 10 years after making a film set in South America, Mel Gibson returns as a director in a movie once again set as further away from the Jews as possible. In Hacksaw Ridge, Andrew Garfield's second-best biographical role about a pacifist in a hostile Japan, Andrew Garfield plays a not-so-oppressed Gomer Pyle, who later turns into a not-so-charming Forrest Gump, whose life goal seems to be unlocking the most specific STEAM achievement ever. So he sets out to fight in Okinawa during World War II, without using a single weapon. Thankfully, he's the only conscientious objector in the film, which means everyone else brought their weapons along, providing us with lots of fun. Otherwise, this movie would be really boring. But one must ask himself about the futility of making a war movie glorifying a pacifist for his pacifism if the highlight of the movie, and there seemed to be quite a consensus about this, is its literally visceral violence. It sounds a bit like releasing footage of a Charlie Sheen Tiger Blood party as a PSA about drugs. But, oh well, this guy is our hero, so they have to stop everything and show him doing his thing. He saves a lot of people, everyone who doubted him stands corrected, and they give him his achievement. And then, after that intermission, we proceed to the final climax, where the Americans montage the shit out of the Japanese, taking Okinawa thanks to the glorious grenades and righteous rifles everyone else brought along. And by the end, Mel Gibson makes America great again.